Earnestly podcast here. DT, welcome back, Danny Thompson,
I mean,
NBA journalist.
you know what, EJ, welcome back, bro. I'm glad to see you back.
I'm glad to see you back.
I mean, listen, we haven't done this in a while. Like
About
it's
at least a year. At least a year. Maybe it'll be a little
might
longer.
might be a little bit longer.
Maybe about 2 years, maybe.
Could be.
Not good.
That's okay.
Whose fault is that? Mine.
No, I blame the Miami Heat.
Oh my God.
It's Tyler
You
Hero's
you
fault.
want to go there already? You want to go there and piss? Dude,
I blame LaMelo Ball. How about that?
Listen. The weather today has been very gloomy and rainy all day down here in South Florida, and it fit my mood this morning. I'm going to work. It really did. I was so ornery. Got out of bed this morning. I was like, oh my God. So the Heat lose last night. And then the weather's bad this morning. On top of that too, I'm like, it figures.
Well, I mean, I know as we record this podcast live, the good news is, DeMar DeRozan's daughter probably won't be in Miami booing y'all in the second half.
Oh my God, you see that?
So you're not worried about that.
She's probably MVP tonight. I'll be honest with you.
Listen, she is the MVP. Like they're gonna boo DeRozan and his daughter every time that she's gonna be on the jumbotron Scotch Bank next season. It's coming.
Well, I'm gonna say this about the Heat, and I want to spend too much time on this because it's still got they have another game coming up on Friday. This team, I told everybody before the year started, and some of my fellow Heat friends and people, thought I was like being way too harsh to this team. I said it wouldn't surprise me if this team had to play in a play-in situation based on the environment of the Eastern Conference heading into the year. I hate to be wrong. I hate to be right, but I was right, and it was worse than I thought. And this team, in my opinion, looks like it's tapped out. It's maxed out. Like it's a good team. There'll be a 5-6 seed every year, currently constructed. But Cleveland's better now. Obviously, Milwaukee, Boston, Philadelphia, better, clearly better. Right now, New York's better. They are who they are at this point now, and I don't know what you do next at this point.
I think the one thing is when Kyle Lowry's contract comes off the books, that's going to make a lot of help. It's going to be a lot of salary relief, and it allows Miami to have some flexibility. I think if they can find a way to somehow get rid of Duncan Robinson, that can also help as well too. You still have a core of players. You still have Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. I know, Jimmy is just ageless at this point, but he gives you everything he has, which you can never take away. Tyler Hero turned into Tyler Hero. He played like Jack Harlow the season before. He's now Tyler Hero again this year. This was a Tyler Hero that deserved every dollar he had this year. Bam Adebayo is still a top 10, a top 15, 20 player in the league, and he's still getting better. Bam is on that list. He's up there. And Eric Spoelstra still can coach. So it's just really just getting the right pieces for Spoelstra and really finding a point guard. That's Miami's problem. There's not a point guard on this roster. Kyle Lowry is 807.
Yeah. Kyle Lowry is an expiring contract beginning July. So obviously that will be the first move to shop him. I doubt there'll be a team that will get him off the rip. Maybe during the season as the money gets smaller, obviously too. Maybe there's a team or two that will probably grab him. Maybe a contender that can see the value in Kyle Lowry and a contender. I mean, Miami is technically a contender, not a final contender anymore, I would say, but certainly a playoff team still, currently constructed. But yeah, I mean, this team as it is like unless you're getting leaps from Hero and Bam, this is what it is. It's a 5 seed, 6 seed, or at best in a conference.
Well, I think the one thing about Miami is that they have still, like I said, developed. They have shooters. I mean, Vincent can shoot. I mean, they have Strauss who can shoot. Mm-hmm. They have guys who can shoot the basketball. I think you mentioned Kyle's expiring contract. We have seen worse contracts get moved. Like Miami might have to throw some first round picks in there, or some of the young players they don't even use, but they can get rid of Kyle Lowry if they need to. And maybe listen, it might be illogical, but there's a point guard in Portland who's very, very, very on the block this summer.
Oh, and you're going to go there?
I'm going to go there because I think Damian Lillard is on the point where he is Kevin Garnett right now. This is Kevin Garnett of Minnesota at this point. Dame Lillard's Kevin Garnett in Minnesota. Now the question is, will Dame Lillard be like Kevin Garnett and go to his Boston? And can you imagine Dame Lillard in South Beach?
A real point guard too, especially. He has still a couple of years left in him. He's still what 33, 32?
33. And you know what? And the year he had this year, I mean, if he would have played three more games, because Portland was done by the middle of March, so he basically shut him down.
Yeah,
to keep the draft pick. But he would have played the 3 games. He would have been behind Joel Embiid in scoring. He might have caught Embiid the way he was scoring like crazy in March.
right.
And you put him in South Beach with actual guys that can help him win a championship. Miami's catapulted right there with Milwaukee and Boston. And I don't think Boston's going to be the same next season anyway. But that's another story for another day.
There's a lot of questions there with Boston and Jaylen Brown, and if he makes an All-NBA team, and if that happens, maybe they could max him out if they want to, but maybe he just want to stay there anymore. There's a lot of questions there with the Celtics, obviously, in their future. The other team last night that played in the play-in, the Lakers. I'm sorry. Look, I get the media hype and the Lake shows, the back, and all this stuff. Look, I don't know. Last night when I didn't see it. I watched the game last night. I didn't see a foul contender last night. I saw a team that's a good team, but they need everything to fall into place to have a chance to beat Minnesota. You cannot do that against Memphis and others in that conference.
But EJ, we all know it takes 1 point to win in basketball.
I get it.
And anytime LeBron James and Anthony Davis are healthy, the last time they were healthy in the playoffs, what happened? They won the whole thing.
Yeah.
They won the championship. And the Lakers team has the right pieces around them. They have D'Angelo Russell. I'm a big fan of Jared Vanderbilt. Have been since he was in Minnesota. I love Jared and what he brings and how he works well with Davis. Malik Beasley is a good shooter. Who knew Austin Reeves was this good? I mean, Rui Hachimura, they have guys who can play. Dennis Schroeder hit the big 3 last night. It's really a Mo Bamba who hasn't really played much, but is ready to be unleashed at some point in time. The Lakers will be fine. I like their series of Memphis. I think it's the best matchup for the Lakers in the first round. Memphis has no height.
That's true. No Steven Adams for the season.
No Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark. Mm-hmm. They're both gone. They had to call up Kenny Lofton. I don't mean the baseball player from the G League.
I was going to ask you, is he still the Indians?
No, not that one. And not Willie Mays Hayes either.
No, okay.
No. So you're looking at Kenny Lofton Jr., who's undersized.
Right.
So that leaves you with Xavier Tillman and Sammy Adalma, trying to basically keep Jaren Jackson out of foul trouble. And if Jaren Jackson gets out of foul trouble, Anthony Davis should just eat them alive. And it puts Memphis in a bad place.
No, I agree. I think that's the matchup. Between playing Denver and playing Memphis, I think Memphis is the more favorite matchup between the Lakers, really, in terms of just what he can attack and all that. But I don't know. I'm not saying they're not a contender. What I'm saying is that what I saw last night gives me cause for pause. So just I don't know. Minnesota was, well, Gobert. Granted, we all make fun of Rudy Gobert, but Rudy Gobert is a big piece of that team, though, still. And Minnesota, I'm sorry, I think Minnesota lost that game last night when LA won it. Minnesota was in control of the game the entire way, and it's going to score anything in the last 8 minutes of that game, including overtime.
It was the moment where Anthony Edwards needed to turn into.
Yeah,
Anthony Edwards had to be that guy, and he didn't show it last night.
No.
So maybe Friday night we'll get to see it. Because they'll get the win of the New Orleans and the Oklahoma City game on Friday night.
This is going on right now as we speak, as we do record this. Yeah.
Yep. But they'll be playing at home. Rudy Gobert will be back. Hopefully he's not punching Kyle Anderson. But I think the injury that hurts Minnesota the worst is Jaden McDaniels breaking his hand.
Yeah, that's the one.
Here's my question: at this point, which injury was more dumber? The Jaden McDaniels punching a wall the game before the play-in game, or Amari Stoudemire punching a fire extinguisher in Miami?
The Stoudemire one was an elimination game. They were already down 3-1 in that series, and I think they were losing in that game too.
Okay,
that was kind of like a white flag moment for Stoudemire. Whereas McDaniel, in a wide open Western Conference, Minnesota included, things can happen, and then you beat the Lakers. You're the 7th seed. I mean, you did play Memphis last year in the first round of playoffs, and you pushed them in a very competitive 6-game series. Mm-hmm. I said McDaniel was still the worst one.
But it's on the level of stupidity.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely on like elite level dumb. I mean, no one questions that at all. Well, you know, but yeah, it was very dumb because I mean, he plays last night. They probably win that game.
Yeah,
That game came down to literally one possession.
and really, it should have came down to it because if Mike Conley doesn't get fouled, like idiotically gets fouled,
Right.
the game doesn't go to overtime.
Right. Exactly. So I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I was LA's playing Memphis first round. I mean, I don't know who you. I guess I'll ask you when we get to the predictions. Obviously, who you like in that series, but that should be a fun series, though. That should be a fun series. Um, we'll talk about this team real quick because I know this, obviously they're not in the playoffs. They didn't make the play-in for crying out loud. You know, all this talk about the Mavericks. You know, you think they're the Cowboys the way they get a lot of talk. You know, days after the season ends. But all this talk about Luka Doncic's future. Yeah, you start to hear people talk about that he could ask for a trade and he could be unhappy with the situation there. I don't know. I hear all this talk and I get it. We need content to fill up time on sports radio, on TV, and all that. Is there actually doubt in the future, or is this the media blowing the smoke up everybody's ass?
Well, Luka's future, I think there might be a little bit of doubt. Listen, Luka Doncic is the same situation James Harden was a few years ago in Houston.
Right.
It's hard to build around Luka Doncic. He's so ball dominant, but he's good enough to be where he's just dominating the ball all the time. So you have to really got a team full of shooters that got to grab rebounds. Okay, and you got to have guys that attempt to play defense. When you trade for Kyrie Irving, and get rid of everything that encompasses that team, you have nothing left.
Yeah,
Dallas went for it. Yeah, Luka was okay with it, but he did. I bet you Luka didn't tell Mark Cuban, "Go get this guy." I would bet.
So you're saying that you don't think Luka signed off on this actual trade?
I think Luka was probably. They say, "Hey, Luka, we're bringing in Kyrie. What you think?" All right, we appreciate your opinion. I don't think Luka went to Dallas management and said, "Hey, go get this guy. This guy's going to help us win a championship. Go get him at all costs."
Right.
Now, I can see Luka saying this for Kevin Durant, not Kyrie Irving.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely a tale of two different players and two different personalities. Obviously, for the record, and look, I've been saying this on the podcast the last couple of weeks. When the Dallas free fall was in motion, like I don't blame Kyrie Irving for what happened. I mean, he played well. I think this is a front office issue. They gave up too much to get Kyrie. I thought that the move for Kyrie wasn't a bad move because we need to see, can Kyrie play with someone else? We need to see who could he play with. I've been saying too also that part of the complicated part with like Luka, and you mentioned James Harden, is that both players are very similar in a way where they need the basketball to be successful. But you can't have your number two guy being someone just as ball dominant as they are. And that's why I always had doubts that this was going to work. Now, I didn't think this would fall apart the way it did. I thought this would make the playoffs. It was worse than we all thought.
I think Joel Embiid will work next to Luka Doncic. Like, that will be just fine.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see Anthony Davis also, too.
Yeah, I mean, but you need that type of player. A Giannis would even work with next to Luka. Yeah. You need a player like that to be your number two. Luka needs a Pau Gasol. He doesn't need, Gilbert Arenas. Okay, it's not going to work this way.
Yeah.
Especially when Kyrie doesn't want to be off ball. But it is weird.
Yeah.
That Dallas played better with Kyrie and no Luka than they did with both of them together.
It is strange. Do you think Kyrie resigns there?
Here's the thing. I think that they might end up getting back in bed together, which will cause Luka Doncic to run out the door. But I think Kyrie Irving might end up in Phoenix.
Whoa. Yeah, I can see that.
Chris Paul. Chris Paul's up there in age. His contract is semi-guaranteed next season. If Phoenix doesn't win the championship, I know we're talking about predictions later, then the finger's going somewhere. This finger has to go somewhere.
But you got to figure too. Also, with Durant being there now too, it reopened the Phoenix window by a couple of years. Obviously,
did it though?
Well, look at this. Well, I was under the impression that coming to the year it was closed. Kevin Durant has another 3 years on his 4 years on his contract, so you got to figure at least 2-3 years he's going to be at least peak KD. I got to at least imagine that, you know. So maybe getting a Kyrie may actually help the situation. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know if getting Kevin Durant, because I think getting Kevin Durant puts Phoenix in the same situation, not on a bigger scale, but similar to what Dallas did. I think Phoenix gave up too much for Kevin Durant.
Oh, I'm with you on that one. I think all this talk about Phoenix being the favorites in the Western Conference, I think a little bit too pump the brakes a second. The depth, the lack of depth, there's going to be could play a major part, in how far they go. Honestly, I know high to powers, obviously Booker and Durant, and obviously they 8-0 together when they both play in the court when Durant's playing. But look, it's the playoffs, man, and teams can adjust. And I don't know, man. I still have questions about Phoenix, at least for this year, anyway. At least for this year.
A question of depth. And I feel like one of those guys are going to get injured.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I told him I was going through that one. All right. Trae Young. There's another report that came out yesterday that the Falcons. Sorry, not your fraud cons. I apologize. Haters. I know. No.
One winning season. You're really going to talk about my team. Got you.
Look, we'll get to that later on in the year. No. I will say the Falcons again. The Hawks. Report came out yesterday that apparently the front office has now the green light to make any moves they want, including Trae Young, if possible. Mm-hmm. Weird timing this came out, given that they had a play-in game against Miami last night, which they won, by the way. What do you see with the Trae Young's future in Atlanta? Do you think he gets moved? Do you think he's gonna survive that? I don't know.
People want to put every blame on Trae Young, and it's not really on Trae Young.
Yeah,
Trae has his faults, but it's kind of hard to fault a guy that's giving you 30 points and 10 assists almost every single day. Kind of hard to say it's his fault,
right?
Because he's passing the ball, he's also scoring. Here's the problem: John Collins has been completely trash-tastic for the last 2 seasons.
Yes,
John Collins has literally been the human equivalent of the Giants receiving corps for most of the last 2 seasons.
Oh, there's a dig right there. Thank you. Although I agree with you for the record on that.
Exactly. John Collins has turned into Kenny Galladay. That's what John Collins has turned into. And at this point, when John Collins is literally playing about the same amount of minutes as Sadiq Bey and AJ Griffin, because he's unplayable next to Clint Capella, it's a problem. The other part is DeAndre Hunter, a guy that they wouldn't have traded for Kevin Durant or even Donovan Mitchell last summer, has either not been healthy or he's been completely inconsistent. And I know a lot of people like DeJounte Murray, but I don't know if the fitting with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young has gone off as planned. And now DeJounte Murray has a big contract extension coming up.
Yeah, next year's last year's current deal. So
you have a lot of questions in Atlanta, and you can't not re-sign DeJounte Murray because you gave up 3 first-round picks to get him.
Yep.
So yeah, you can explore the trade rumors. If any trade happens, it's going to happen to a team that is going through a similar situation, Boston. Where you can swap 2 all-stars together without either team breaking up, or a team just literally giving up everything to get that player. So if Atlanta can, and I think Atlanta can beat Boston. Boston could be. I think it can happen.
Wait, you calling upset now? You calling the upset?
I said I think it can happen. I didn't call upset.
We'll get to the predictions a little bit.
So I think Atlanta has a chance to beat Boston. But at the end of the day, if Boston implodes and Jaylen Brown becomes the market, because I think the marriage ends in Boston. You send Jaylen Brown back to Atlanta, where he's from. He's from Marietta.
Oh, he's from Atlanta. That's right. He is from there. Makes sense.
And he's due, like you mentioned before, All NBA. If he makes All NBA, that's a max deal, which in the new CBA I think is $275 million. I don't know if Boston wants to give him $270+ million.
Right.
But we will see a $300 million NBA player soon, probably.
Right. Makes sense. I think we teased it earlier on the podcast. Damian Lillard, how should he proceed moving forward? Because I mean, obviously, his thing is loyalty, all that. He even did a podcast with JJ Redick a couple weeks ago discussing how like the importance that people don't. And I agree with the record. People look at rings only and not the journey, and I totally agree with him on that. But now you're hearing quotes that come out now in the last couple of weeks, last couple of days actually. You seem to think that maybe now he's starting to. Maybe I should really consider, like, asking for a trade, considering the fact that, let's face it, Portland. What moves can they make at this point to get better?
Portland's inept. The front office has become completely inept how to build with a generational, a franchise talent. Mm-hmm. The best player in Blazers history. I'm really saying this. I mean, I see with Clyde Drexler being on this list. The greatest player in Blazers history is literally being wasted because the front office can't figure out how to build around him. It's funny they trade CJ McCollum because of the dynamic of him and Dame because of size, but turn back around and give Anthony Simons over $100 million to sit next to Damian Lillard.
Yeah, good player, but not.
Simons is a good player, but you just complained about CJ McCollum next to Damian Lillard, and that too got you to a conference finals.
Yeah,
and then you say, and which was weird to me is on the exit interview days, the general manager of the Blazers were mentioning the fact that we might get a high pick, but we don't need players that are 2 years away from developing. We need guys to win now. So if the Blazers trade that pick, what do they think they're going to be getting in return?
Right.
What happens if the Jazz come calling about, Jazz come calling about the pick because, picks are valuable now, especially with the CBA going into place. And it's a top 5 pick. You already know who Portland's going to ask for Lauri Markkanen, and they're going to hang up the phone. What happens if Minnesota might want to move, might want to package their picks. They might ask for Anthony Edwards to come back. You don't know what Portland's going to be asking for to get a potential top 5 pick. And Portland doesn't need another top 5 pick. If you do want that top 5 pick, then it's time to top 5 send Damian Lillard someplace else.
Guess question is this now. Do you think he will ask for a trade? If so, when?
It's coming.
He just signed a 2-year extension like this past season.
I think the trade request will come towards the deadline of next season, when Portland probably will be out of the playoffs again, because the roster, unless we get a complete overhaul of the roster or get guys that can make sense.
Yeah,
they missed the Al-Farouq Aminus in the roster that were doing the little things. Yusuf Nurkic is solid, but you need guys to be able to play roles, and the Blazers don't play any defense. That doesn't help things either. So until they get some veterans and guys that play basketball, it's going to wear on Dame. He's going to be 34 at the deadline next season. It might be time. And I think he might make the call like Kevin Garnett did in Minnesota. Get me out of here. And he goes to a place, Miami, Boston. I mean, Boston can do it too. Boston has a lot of young pieces. And I wouldn't be surprised they send not just Marcus Smart. They might just send Jaylen Brown over there to go get Damian Lillard, especially if he can't win a championship. There's always teams that's going to be lurking. And It's just really, really what the Blazers could do because they'll get a lot of offers.
Yeah. Who's your MVP this year?
MVP? Embiid.
I'm with you.
I had Joker about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and he just didn't play well down the stretch. Last year, Embiid was the best player in the league until the final 7 weeks of the season, and Joker was going nuts. And, he put those numbers up, and he got the MVP. I think it's almost the inverse like it was last year. So give me Embiid as my MVP.
Kind of feel like he just, last couple of weeks, just like tailed off in a way like he didn't care about the award. It's just wanted to make sure he was healthy enough, and he's kind of tailed off. He didn't play bad. It just tailed off.
This wasn't Joker-like.
Yeah.
He plays Sabonis-like, not Joker-like.
I do hate the conversation around the MVP, though. I do hate the fact that when we look at MVPs and people's like, well, what about him? He hasn't won a playoff game yet. Look, first of all, when you vote MVP, you're voting based on the 82-game sample. That is it. I don't know why we can't seem to get through people's heads that, that's the way you vote. If he deserves it for 30 years in a row, then so be it.
I mean, that's what it is. But I think this year that Embiid, he gets it. There'll probably be people saying it's voter fatigue, but Embiid flat earned it.
No, I agree with that too. I also agree with that, and I think this is probably one of the most competitive MVP races talked about him in a long time. And you could have said Giannis, and that wouldn't sound foolish either. I think if anything, Drew Holiday made it harder for both Giannis because of the fact that Drew Holiday was first off when Giannis was out this year, they were like 10-7, I think, this year without him. So they didn't create around him for the record. Philadelphia without Embiid they were a lost puppy.
Yeah, but that roster is a lost puppy too. So you can't blame.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying is MVP, but I think it's just that Embiid just played better when it counted the most.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the one thing that really shifted me to Embiid a couple weeks ago was the fact that the one meeting they had this year, he did dominate Jokic.
Yeah, but he ducked the second matchup like Mayweather did Pacquiao.
You think he ducked that match? You think he ducked that? He
played the next night in Dallas.
But why would he duck that when you already beat the guy down months before that?
Yeah, because his game was in Philadelphia. The second game was in Denver. It's
a bad look. If he thought that's a bad look, I will say that.
It's a bad look, of course it is, but it's load management. What more can you say?
Yeah. Oh God, load management. That's a whole other podcast another day, definitely. So I revealed my all NBA list on social media yesterday. I want to see yours. I want to see how you did yours. Because Danny, for the record, I've been a traditionalist. You know me.
Yeah.
But this is the first year I actually went, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to take the 15 best guys, positionless, and then stack it. So I don't know if you go that route, you go hybrid, or you just go strictly to the.
I went the conventional route.
Okay.
Reason being is that I hate the hybrid rule because it's going to affect guys when it comes to voting because people will put Jokic and Embiid on the same team. You're going to find a way to put all the guards on one team. It's just going to convolute the voting. So I went conventional. So my first team, since Embiid's my MVP, of course, he's at center. Giannis, Jason Tatum in the backcourt. I have Luka Doncic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
I like the Shai this year.
I mean, SGA has been phenomenal all year. I mean, I hate the fact that he was literally, EJ, you know, we're both stat guys, but he was literally 12 rebounds away from having the first 31, 5 and 5, 1.5 blocks, 5 blocks and over a steal a game since Michael Jordan, the second player in the history of the league that would have done that.
That's amazing.
In one season.
And
that year, Jordan was MVP that year. And defensive player of the year.
Right. That was 89.
87, 88.
Oh, 78. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I like that. I actually, like I said, I had my first team. I had, like I said, I went more positionless. I went Embiid. I went Jokic. I went Luka. I went Giannis and Tatum. So I was almost there with you.
Okay. So my second team was Joker at center, of course. I had Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler at forwards.
Jimmy Butler, interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think,
and KD too, also.
Yeah.
Despite that, he only played 47 games this year. Was it 48 games this year?
I think he played 50. Played 50.
He cracked it. Okay.
He cracked the 50 mark, so I gave it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then backcourt, I had Steph Curry and Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, close to yours too. My second team, I had Mitchell. I had John Morant this time on mine. I had Steph Curry, I had SGA on mine, and I had LeBron.
And then third team, I had Sabonis at center.
Mm-hmm.
I had LeBron. I had Julius Randle.
Aha.
And then I went De'Aaron Fox, Dame Lillard.
So this is where I think you and I veer up a little bit here. I went Jaylen Brown. I went De'Aaron Fox, like you just did. I went Anthony Davis. I went Sabonis, like as well. Monday night, I fell asleep with James Harden on my list. Tuesday morning, I woke up and said, you know what? Culture matters to me. This guy changed culture. And then on top of that, the team he left fell apart without him. I went Jalen Brunson.
See, I think I'm okay with Jalen Brunson, but I think Randall was better than Brunson was this year. Brunson was really good down the stretch of games, but Randall was good.
That could definitely be argued. I don't think. I think that it's a good selection you had there. I just think that Jalen Brunson thing, him leaving Dallas, they crater. He goes to New York. They go from a team that wasn't a playoff team last year to now a 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. It's a pretty big jump.
I think. For me, I think one of the main reasons why I had, I did have Knicks on the list, Like I said,
Yeah.
I have Emmanuel Quigley as my sixth man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said,
Six man was Quickly, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Over Portis.
I had Brogdon. Fine.
Okay. I don't think you're wrong with that, but yeah, I think Quigley, especially since they gave him a chance to be Quigley, and now it's to the point where the Knicks have an interesting dilemma to make. So we're going to figure that out.
Yeah. Lots of trade assets to that team too. Also, lots of trade assets possibly. If we didn't get another whale. Who's rookie of the year?
Oh, I have Bankero.
Yeah, me too.
But Walker Kessler made it real interesting down the stretch.
Yeah. Bankero's. I'll tell you what, Orlando was fun to watch throughout the year. They were kind of frisky at times.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they got tired of picking high in the draft, so they'll pick in the teams this year.
Right? Most improved player, if you have one.
SGA.
I almost went there.
Here's the problem. John Morant's ruined the award. John Morant winning last year ruined the award.
Yeah.
2 years ago when they ruined the award. So now it's the guy who turned into an all-star. So SGA over Lauri Markkanen.
I went Markkanen on that one. Although SGA was on my list though.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, SGA was on my list definitely. If you have one of these, executive of the year, who'd you go with?
Executive of the year, definitely Morris in Sacramento.
Ooh, I like that. I did consider Danny Ainge at one point for fleecing the Timberwolves over the summer, last summer rather, but I had to go Kobe Altman, and because in Cleveland, because again, just the fact that they got Mitchell, and I was not sold on Mitchell being this good in Cleveland, and the fact that Mitchell's on your number one all NBA team, I mean that says everything all you need to know. So
okay,
so Kobe Altman there. Coach Year's pretty easy, I'm sure. On the same page. Yeah, that's a runaway. I think the other guy I will say people should give credit to those Jacques Vaughn in Brooklyn.
I've been big on Will Hardy in Utah.
Yeah, that's another one too. But Jacques Vaughn took over that team in the dumps at 2-5 when they fired Steve Nash. Then they surge with Jacques Vaughn, and then they lose both their star players in the middle of the year, and they actually still maintain the hold on the 6th seed.
Yeah, but they were 11-13 after the trade, though. Of KD.
I thought it'd be worse than that, to be honest with you, all considering.
It's the Eastern Conference.
I guess I see a point there. Your deep boy, defensive player of the year.
Defensive player of the year. This was a hard one. Like
It's the hardest one, actually. I think.
I had Brook Lopez as my guy all year, but after really doing some research and really just thinking about it, watching it and doing the breakdown analytics, which everybody hates, I have Nick Claxton of Brooklyn.
Oh, I like that. That no one has on. I don't think anybody had him in earshot on the list of this.
People could put Jared Jackson on there because Jared Jackson.
That was my guy. That was my pick.
But Nick Claxton, EJ, if you think about this, Nick Claxton is the only player in the NBA that's in the top 5 in defensive rating, block shots, defensive win shares, defensive field goal percentage allowed, and effective field goal percentage allowed.
That's a good case there.
And he's number 2 in the league in block percentage. So, and he averages close to a steal a game on top of that. So it's like, he does a bit of everything.
No, that's a good case there. It's an excellent case. I totally respect that. I guess we should get what our predictions. I guess obviously we still have 2 more playing games to go on. Well, this one to finish here tonight, but then also 2 more on Friday. I guess we'll go through it first. The confirmed series ready. 2-7 Celtics and Hawks.
Hawks have a chance to win, but Trae Young's hairline's going away. So give me Boston at 6.
I'll go Boston in. I can see it's going longer than people give credit for, but I think Boston is a little more focused this year now, given everything that's happened this year. I'll take Boston 5 just because of the focus. But I could definitely see your point there. Like if John Collins shows up for once, maybe this goes 6-7 games.
Yeah, we'll hear a couple more screeching Hawks for a few more games.
There you go. 3-6 Sixers and Nets.
This should be easy. Miguel Bridges has got the highest scoring average of any player that's been traded midseason in the history of the NBA.
That's crazy, isn't it?
The highest scoring average. I mean, we've seen Dominique Wilkins get traded. We've seen Kevin Durant get traded midseason. No one scored more points a game than Miguel Bridges. That means nothing in the series. The Sixers, I'm just giving it a gentleman's sweep. It could be a full sweep. But I'm gonna say gentleman's sweep.
Now, I'm gonna go further. I think it's a sweep. They should lose one game in the series. Honestly, there's no answer in Embiid at all. As I know you made a Claxton.
As good as Claxton is, it's Embiid.
Yeah, I know you made a Claxton thing for Depoy, but Embiid is on another level.
Yeah, it's different.
So I'm gonna go sweep there. 4-5. This a lot of people think it's the best series in the first round. Knicks and Cavs.
Cavs in 7.
Knicks
it's going to be just as exciting as the Hawks and Knicks series. The only thing is that the Knicks will play better in Game 7 but fall short.
Knicks fans get a little cocky these days. Like some of my friends, Knicks fans, are talking a lot of chatter, like they actually.
Listen, Jalen Brunson pulls this off. Jalen Brunson will never have to pay for a cab in New York City ever again.
Like I'm kind of rooting for the Knicks here a little bit because I love Jalen Brunson. The Cavs are a better team though, man. Give me Cavs in 6.
Okay.
Give me Cavs in 6. Who does Milwaukee play? You think? Chicago or Miami?
Miami.
I hope so, but
I'll take the Bucks in 5 over Miami.
Yeah, I'll take Bucks in 5. I think
even without Chris Middleton, even without a healthy Chris Middleton, give me Bucks in 5.
Yeah, Miami. If it's Miami's in 5, if it's Chicago's in 5 as well. So
Chicago's a sweep.
Oh, really?
Okay. Bucks dog walk them, just like they did last year.
Okay. All right, so the Western Conference, 2-7 there first. That is the Lakers and that is the Grizzlies. Who do you got?
I really don't want to do this. I really, truly don't want to do this. Lakers in 6.
In 6? We'll be at home. We'll be at home, obviously. So
yeah, Lakers will close that at home.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably gonna jinx myself. I say Lakers in 6.
All right. 3-6. You have Sacramento and Golden State. This is another good one.
This series is going to happen one of 2 ways. Either the Kings are going to win the series in 5, because the ineptitude of the Warriors not winning on the road, which is literally the most mind-boggling thing ever. How this team forgets how to win on the road, and it's not because of injuries; it's because of lack of not winning on the road.
But does that carry over though? You think it'll carry over in the playoffs though? I don't know.
They're 11-30 on the road this season.
I understand that, but does that carry over? They won last couple games at the end of the year. Does that carry over in the postseason? Is the question.
I don't know, but the Kings will either win in 5 or the Warriors win in 7. So carry the 5, give me Warriors in 7, and I don't feel confident about this one.
Oh my god! All right, I'll take the Warriors in 6.
Okay.
Okay. So 4-5, Phoenix and the Clippers. Suns and Clippers.
The sun will set.
Yeah, Clippers?
Clippers in 7.
See, this is the thing. Deepest team in the league is the Clippers. If Paul George is healthy, I actually would go Clippers in 7 myself.
If Paul George is healthy, I'm taking Suns in 5. Give me Clippers in 7 since Paul George is nowhere near the series.
Really?
Paul George is the equivalent of a crutch in a playoff series. No. Pandemic P, Perry the Platypus. He is no. Clippers in 7 because Paul George is out of the series because they really allow Kawhi Leonard to have spacing and they can use all the different bodies on him, so you don't have to worry about focusing on 2 offensive players. Give me Clips in 7. And I don't trust the Suns.
I'm going to take Suns in 6.
I said in another podcast it was going to be a failure. And I believe it's true. The Suns will implode and fail because of this. You gave up too much, and it's going to hurt now more than anything.
Well, my thing on the Suns, real quick, you mentioned earlier in the podcast, is that I'm not looking at this year as the win now moment. I'm looking at next year and beyond as the issue because you could actually do actual construction to the roster this summer.
Chris Paul is going to be almost. Unless it's Kyrie Irving, it's going to be almost.
That's what I'm saying. If you're saying Kyrie's going to be there, or they trade for Damian Lillard, or someone.
Yeah, I can't see Portland taking Chris Paul in exchange for Dame Lillard. at this point in his career, but I've seen weirder things happen. I don't like the way the roster is constructed. I know James Jones is going to get a lot of praise for getting Kevin Durant, but I don't like the fact he pulled this trigger. He gave up way too much. Cam Johnson is an underrated piece in this trade that went to Brooklyn. Extremely underrated because they need you need guys like that, especially when the contract isn't very big. And so now Kevin Durant and Kevin Durant this will take over, but no, give me Clips and 7. And I think the real star of the series, besides Kawhi Leonard, I think Robert Covington and Nicholas Batum will really co-star in the series. Robert Covington will be a guy that's going to guard Kevin Durant a lot of the series, and Nicholas Batum somehow is going to resurrect himself to the Nicholas Batum of Blazers old and start putting up solid numbers. And listen, Russell Westbrook's hitting jump shots. Who would have thought?
I will say you and I have a almost similar vibe on the Suns. We're not quite bought in just yet. You and I are kind of on the same page on that a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
You're probably worse than I am right now at this point, but yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And then Denver against whoever wins this foolishness. Denver will sweep Oklahoma City. They'll sweep New Orleans. And if Minnesota gets in, Rudy Gobert will give a French pastry. They win a game, but it's going to be a general sweep if it's
so Denver. No matter what, Denver wins the first round series, no matter who they play.
Easy.
I actually put the Pelicans win the A spot initially. So
okay,
but we'll see how that plays out. I guess we'll talk about wrestling real quick. Did you watch WrestleMania?
I did.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed every moment of it. It was one of the best WrestleManias I can remember in recent memory, both nights. And yes, I'm okay with Roman Reigns walking out with that belt.
Me too. So was my wife, by the way, too. She was like, she's obsessed with Roman Reigns. Obsessed. Like I have this like joke I make every time he's on TV. Her ovaries light up.
I mean, Christian coming in the house is what we need to know, EJ.
Every time Roman's on TV, he's like, "All right, I'm sorry, gotta go."
Are y'all trying for number 3, third time?
We good. No, we good. No, we good. Deuce, we're done on 2. That's it. No, I thought night 1 when the Usos lost the titles, people were assuming, oh well, this means that means that Roman's gonna lose on Sunday. I thought that gave more questions than answers actually. And I thought I actually thought that the likelihood of Roman winning on Sunday was actually higher now because of Usos losing on Saturday.
But I kind of figured they wouldn't let Cody walk away with that. It was too simple. Everybody expected it. That's why I think they kept Reigns. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Reigns kept the belt through WrestleMania next year.
No, I think here's the logic to also the two for me is that so Cody's been back a year. Okay, he came back last year WrestleMania, right? And the only feud he's had is Seth Rollins. Okay, they feuded through to June last year. Cody busts his pec out for 7 months, comes back for Rumble, wins the Rumble, and then he's winning the title. That's it. Like there's no build to that. There's really no build to that other than the Seth feud. That's it. So now I think Cody will be the next guy up. I think Cody I think there's a bigger story for Cody now, where you go through now Brock Lesnar. Obviously, they're going to feud now. You go through another guy, whether it's Omos or some other big Bobby Lashley, whoever it may be, and then he gets Roman again next year. And then next year you pull the trigger on Cody.
I don't think you pull the trigger on Cody. I think Jey Uso is the one that's going to take Roman Reigns down.
You think Jey Uso is really the next guy in line that can? I mean, it's good for the story, obviously.
I think you kind of have to at some point. Something's going to have to overturn the bloodline at some point. If it's not Jey Uso, then Sikoa. It's going to be It's going to be somebody's going to take. It's going to be one of the Usos. One of the bloodlines going to take out Roman Reigns. Because putting Cody to do it is too typical. My only person that realistically I think that can beat Roman Reigns would be Gunther. But if they didn't do it with Drew in Scotland, in Wales last year, if they didn't do it when Sammy is in Montreal, I don't think they're going to do it here with Gunther. I think Gunther would be a great transitional champ to Cody. But it's all on Roman if Roman wants to take time off. But I think Roman will lose to somebody in the bloodline, whether it be Sikoa or it be Jey Uso. Because Jey Uso started the whole bloodline.
So the whole purpose of like Roman losing the title, like Cody should have been. I don't know. I think
you let Roman pass Hogan, and then you make him drop.
Well, no, yeah, the streak was the important thing because they kept not mentioning the streak. 900 and some days. He's getting 1,000 by next month or by May, I think, right?
1,000 in the Backlash.
Right. So that's next month.
Mm-hmm.
Cody was too easy. Totally agree with him that. Cody was way too easy. I guess Jay it makes sense. It does make sense.
Because you gotta think the times he's not talking to him. You're watching Raw, and they're all Usos are back in the back, eating food in the back, and they call Sikoa. It's the jealousy factor. Yes, it's a jealousy factor. I think somehow we're gonna get some more heads rolling into play that's gonna make the storyline even bigger. Another divide, maybe another, maybe appearance from The Rock, not in wrestling, maybe talking to Jey Uso and getting him to win the Royal Rumble next year. And then, in a working man city like Philadelphia, a working man like Jey Uso gets his Kofi Kingston title run.
Yeah, we didn't need that long either. It's needed for the story to make sense.
Yeah,
the assumption was because we all heard his Roman's taking time off that we thought, okay, well, he's taking time off, then Cody has to win the title, but obviously that's not the case. So maybe he's
Roman's part-time. So Roman shows up. Like we have WrestleMania Backlash and Roman Reigns is nowhere to be found.
Nor does he need to at this point, man. Honestly, I think having a guy make him special.
But I think you need to somehow take one of the belts off of him.
I think that's the bigger question.
And I think the draft will make that decision. I think the draft will be really huge when we get the draft. How they're going to do Roman Reigns, because it's hard when your champion is not defending the belt. Mm-hmm. I mean, if Reigns is defending it when he defends it, but if he's got both belts, it's almost pointless. It's like a UFC. It's like when you have two belts in UFC. You have to keep. You can't continue to fight year round because you have to move your body weight up and down.
Yeah.
So, no, I think they'll get the belt. It's either they take one of the belts off Reigns or Jey Uso does it.
I will say the one good thing about Reigns having both belts, though, I will say the only good positive about that is that it's actually highlighted the U.S. title and the IC title again. Like Gunther.
I think Gunther would be the guy that you can put the belt on.
Of course, but I think Gunther is the first IC champion I've seen in a number of years that actually made that title matter. Like it actually feels like it actually matters for the first time in a long time.
And that match at WrestleMania was amazing.
Oh, it's 5 stars. Match of your candidate.
It was the second best match of the weekend.
Number 1 was who? Rhea and Charlotte.
Yep.
Rhea and Charlotte was fantastic.
The Peacock camera cutting the Charlotte Flair on the side of the apron, crying because Rhea won.
It's just
it was almost reminiscent of what they did to
Sasha and Bianca. Yeah, you're right. That was so cool though. Yeah.
So EJ, I got real quick before y'all know it's getting to this point, but
yeah.
Now with Endeavor taking over the WWE, Endeavor, as we learned with UFC, is really about money. I could see a Forbidden Door 3 with AEW and the WWE.
AEW? Explain.
Well, Endeavor is all about the almighty dollar, and the WWE has been really talking about these shows going back to potentially our olden days of $70 pay-per-views.
Ew, no.
It's coming. So you're going to have to be able to market 4 pay-per-views a year, at least 3. We all know we order the Royal Rumble every year. We all order WrestleMania every year.
SummerSlam
and Money in the Bank are fighting to be the third place because they're pushing Money in the Bank through the roof and they're trying to use stadiums for it. But SummerSlam is the third one.
Yeah.
It used to be Survivor Series was super important. But Survivor Series hasn't been Survivor Series since EJ, we probably were kids.
Yeah, I
Like
agree
those
with you.
Survivor Series in the 80s and 90s were some of the best pay-per-views ever because the traditional format was there.
Yeah.
Now we have invasion angles. But if you're going to charge a pay-per-view, if you do Forbidden Door or a version of that with AEW and WWE, you can charge $100 for that pay-per-view, and it makes sense.
Man, I'm enjoying my $10 a month for Peacock, man. Don't ruin this for me, bro.
We know that, but we all know Endeavor does look what they did with UFC on ESPN Plus.
Mhm.
You know, we're gonna get premium events, but I think they're gonna turn Peacock into more of in your house.
Wow. I mean, it doesn't sound silly to say that could happen. I'm just wishing against it. This sort of sick of me not having to pay $100, for
But
every few months. I mean, it makes sense because like obviously, you get bang for your buck, obviously.
yeah, but EJ, would you pay $100 for AEW WWE Forbidden Door night?
Yeah, I would. I would pay with friends coming to my house and sharing the bill with me.
Yeah,
you know.
you would pay the bill because it's. Can you imagine the matchups we would get?
Yeah.
I mean,
AEW though, I'm surprised to say AEW through AEW not mixed though. I'm surprised.
because you got to think it's the two biggest wrestling companies in the world. No offense to New Japan, but New Japan does not
No,
New Japan does not make sense in the United States. You know, and
nor do I care honestly about New Japan. I mean, look, I respect what they do, but it's just I don't watch their material.
the thing is, if you can barely fill 3,000 seats when you come over to the United States, there's no way that the WWE is going to sit there and go into partnership with you. So,
That's an interesting situation though.
but I can tell you now, you can go out there if you want to do AEW, WWE Survivor Series. You ain't got to make. You can make it a whole card, or you can feature some AEW wrestlers. A women's Survivor Series and a men's Survivor Series. Who would not want to watch a Survivor Series style match with the Elite and I don't know. You can go either Elite or you can go the House of Black or you can go even the Blackpool. You can go Blackpool Combat Club
I guess a bloodline.
against the Bloodline.
I,
You can
I,
you can go the full Elite with Hangman Page. And if you want to be, if you yeah, you go the full that against the Bloodline 4-on-4 go maybe go War Game style.
yeah.
I mean, can you imagine the buy rate of the Elite against the Bloodline?
Oh my god.
And then,
Don't get my ideas now, Danny.
and then you on the women's side, this is where it might struggle because AEW's women's division is not as strong as it is. But you could go Britt Baker, you could go Jay Cargill. I mean, you got to go. You got to go champ Jamie Hayter and Tony Storm, and then you put the WWE 4, and you go Bianca, you go
Wow.
back,
Wow.
you go, and then somehow you get Bailey involved in this.
Gotta get Bailey involved. She's fantastic.
Yeah, I know, but you just got to figure out how to intertwine her and Becky together since they're not together anymore.
Yeah.
And then since Charlotte is only going part time now, you get Charlotte Flair in the match.
Yeah.
And then you just basically, or if you don't use the Elite with Kenny Omega, like I said, you go Blackpool Combat Club, and then we get Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes, or Kenny Omega, Seth Rollins.
I as someone who doesn't want to pay $100 to see that, but would I pay $100 to see that? Yeah. Don't tell Endeavor that.
I mean, the only match I would love to get, but we would not get, would probably be because they're in because they're in that main event match. Would have been FTR versus the Usos.
Oh yeah, that'd be a fun match.
But I mean, FTR the Street Profits is not a bad.
But we kind of saw FTR Usos against what were they called in
Revival.
WWE? Revival, yeah.
Yeah, but listen, Dax Harwood had hair.
That's true.
That's like it's like Surfer Sting versus Crow Sting. It's a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. One last thing to let you go. AEW is doing a massive show at Wembley Stadium in London this summer. The all out show.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. To me, I look at that as a risky proposition, but Tony Khan must know something because he's booking an 8,000 seat stadium to do the show. Is AEW ready for this shit? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. One good thing about this is that Daddy Khan uses that stadium for the Jaguars.
Yeah,
when they're overseas.
Yeah.
So I'm betting I'm going to put a good thing that Tony's not paying rent for that night in Wembley.
Right.
I think it's full. He gets full disclosure of using the stadium. Or WWE puts 70,000 in Wales. I think AEW puts close to 55 in the stadium. As long as they don't go stupid with the ticket prices, I think you can get 55 in.
They can't go. I mean, this is the AEW, it's the WWE. WWE has a name value. AEW, this is the first international show, also too. On top of that,
but I think at the same time with AEW, but here's what AEW has to do: you're going to have to get Punk back in that building.
There's rumors around saying he's trying to get back in.
Well, and then you're going to have to get Will Ospreay to show up. Will has never wrestled in England.
Oh, okay.
So he's been begging to wrestle in England. He's been over in Japan. You let Will Ospreay show up, and you go Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega at Wembley. We'll have just as much. I think just as much of a cultural impact than the same as Bulldog, because you have Ospreay, who is literally from. I think he's from London.
Okay, I
think he says a short train ride to the stadium. He's ready to go.
Okay.
And everybody loves Kenny Omega. So you put Ospreay and Omega in the main event, and then you go FTR and Punk against the Bucks and Hangman. You somehow you have to go, but the problem I have with this card is All Out's 2 weeks away after that in Chicago.
Wait, isn't that the All Out card though? Was it that's
it's all in.
All in. Okay, so separate from the All Out card.
Yeah, All In is in Wembley. All Out is in Chicago.
Okay. I haven't. To be honest, I haven't been following AEW a lot last couple months.
All Out or Forbidden Door. I can't remember. I think either All Out or Forbidden Door is right next to All In. AEW has 2 pay-per-views in 3 weeks.
That's crazy. Tony Khan's crazy, but it's gutsy. I mean, you gotta take chances. I guess the wrestling part, there's a wrestling thirst up in England, obviously, but
yes,
I mean,
because the WWE, he's going to be there in June for Money in the Bank.
Yeah, but if they get 40K, I'd be happy for that for AEW.
I'm surprised they didn't go O2 Arena.
Huh?
I'm surprised they just didn't go O2 Arena and just raise the ticket prices straight to hell and fill the building out.
I think Tony Khan cares about optics and how it looks.
Well, they're gonna be having they're gonna have to hide some of those red seats because I don't think they're putting 80,000 people in that stadium.
No, they're not. They gotta have to give away seats.
I don't think you give away, because I saw a stat that AEW barely draws 90,000 people a week watching in England.
But again, this is why I don't understand how they're doing this. It's very gutsy. Maybe they know something.
Because he's got free rent. He's not paying rent for that stadium. If you're not paying rent to use the facility, it's basically a blank canvas.
Right, but then you look bad when you have a stadium like that, and then no one shows up. Then what?
But if you walk away with 100% profit, what does that mean? You make up for your losses.
That's true. But you could do the same thing they said O2.
But O2's got one of the most expensive arenas.
That's true. He wouldn't pay for. That's true. That's a good point.
So he's paying no money and putting 30,000, maybe 20,000 in the stadium, or paying, a ass amount of money and then having to raise ticket prices straight to hell. But no, I think they'll probably put 35 to 40,000 in there.
Yeah, I mean, if they got that much, I'd be impressed, honestly.
But like I said, you're gonna have to have Ospreay, CM Punk on that card.
Yeah, but they have to jam pack that fucking card to make it worth the bang.
Yeah, so. I mean, we're not going to watch Wardlow in the main event at All In.
No,
take on somebody from Japan. That's just not working.
no. All right, buddy. Plug what you got. Anyone plug?
Listen, follow my Substack, which is the Wonderful World of Data on Substack. It's my personal data analytics blog that allows people to learn the love of data in the NBA and not be afraid of analytics. Check out more at 3pointconversion.com and go EJ. It's my pleasure, my bro. We got to do this again sooner rather than later.
Good to see you on Substack, man. I have one I haven't used much in the last couple of years, but Substack's some good stuff, man. I like Substack a lot.
It's a really good platform for journalists, though.
It really is. Gives you its own space. Mm-hmm. You can make money on it, hopefully, that. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Good job, man. As always.
Always, bro.